When I was a very young teenager and started my first year in college to get my media production education, I knew nothing about gaming. I did have experience in Arma and all the Battlefield games like Battlefield 2, but my proper gaming experience back then were RuneScape, FIFA, and some original Modern Warfare titles that I pirated on my really shitty ass laptop, because I was a really one poor kid back then. Just a kid with a lot of ambition and dreams. Not a lot has changed honestly, but my dreams were of course evolving and changing as I was growing up, and right now at this point in my life I can actually buy my games properly as an adult. As I'm telling you the story of my life, you're probably confused what Battlefield 3 has to do anything with this. Well, it was the first game in my life that I actually bought with my own money, and that game has changed my life forever. Now don't get me wrong, I was not fully ignorant about gaming. Even with my limited gaming knowledge back then, deep down I kinda knew already what kind of games I want to play. I knew about Modern Warfare 3, I knew about Bad Company 2, but something about those games was not that appealing to me. I can't really explain what and why, because I was just not interested in those games. I can't explain it. So every time I want to buy something that was a lot of money, you can bet I was researching that product for weeks until I made a final decision. So you can only imagine how much research I was doing about Battlefield 3 back in 2011 before committing and finally buying the game. So why Battlefield 3? Well, it's hard to explain honestly, it's one of those rare once-in-a-decade moments, lightning in a bottle moments that can't be replicated ever again. Maybe it was the amazing marketing EA has produced to advertise the game. Maybe it was the new technology achievements and DICE was just showcasing what is possible in a video game. It was definitely not the 64-player server appeal, mostly because I had a PlayStation 3 back then and there was no way my laptop could run Battlefield 3 even on minimal settings. But from what I've seen, Battlefield 3 did not look any worse on console comparing to PC. And I was more than okay with that. Actually, I even dare to say Battlefield 3 on console was more superior experience than on PC. If you want to understand what I mean by that, please go check out my other video where I discuss why more never means more fun. Long story short, I just really wanted a really fun video game to play and forget everything that was going on in my life. And finally I bought the game right before Christmas 2011. And dear God, it changed my life forever. The artistic direction was amazing, even with the blue filter over my face. Graphics looked next gen, at least for PlayStation 3 era. Gameplay felt extremely satisfying and every kill was extremely rewarding. Whether you play Conquest or Rush, maps were fantastic or decent enough to be enjoyable. And the destruction, I could literally destroy a whole ass building and push towards the objective with no problems. And all of that was on console, on that shitty ass PlayStation 3. My mind was blown back then, everything I have witnessed by playing this game. It's one of those rare moments in life where every piece of the puzzle just fits so perfectly, replicating is just almost impossible. The development team, the player base, the time frame when the game was released, the competition, everything was perfect. I was so determined to go home and just play this game non-stop, I made a promise to myself to improve my gaming skills and finally make my KD ratio positive. So I just continued playing Team Deathmatch non-fucking stop until my overall KD finally was above 1. Yeah, you heard that correctly, above 1. My first 30-40 hours was literally just me not knowing what the hell I'm doing and running around like a headless chicken with a 0.7 KD. I was an absolute shitlord. And while the game itself was fun and enjoyable, it was one of those first games to me where playing with friends was extremely special. And not because the game has a magical squad-up mechanic, oh no, it's all because Battlelog. Yeah, Battlelog. People back then shat on Battlelog like it's one of the worst things ever. But to me as a console player, I used Battlelog on the same level as I used Facebook back then.
But after you take a serious, hard look at all the options and what's available to you within this system, it grows on you. It's actually a well laid out system. Never before have I been able to enter games so damn easy. Want to invite your friends? You just click and drag from sort of like a Facebook setup your friends into the game that you want and invites get sent out. It is so easy because by now we're all used to web browsing.
I could check my stats, I could check my friends' stats, I can modify my loadout, I could add friends, make new friends, check out the dreadful Battlefield forums and be involved in a conversation about the game. Trust me, Battlefield forums originally was a good place to have a nice conversation about Battlefield. It was. It was like Facebook when it was good, but focused on Battlefield, and it was the golden age in my opinion. Now of course, 11 years later, do I still think Battlefield 3 is one of the best Battlefield games to date? No, but not for the reasons you might be thinking. You're probably expecting me to talk about suppression, movement, or lack of Battlefield 2 features that were never available in the game when it came out. As I'm not a kid anymore, I'm not that ignorant to problems that I would probably ignore back then. Battlefield 3 is still a fantastic game, nothing will change that. but it's clearly showing its age. The controls, the feel of the game, the netcode, I hate to admit, but it feels very clunky these days. And of course, that's expected. Time is going forward, we evolve. But when people say that they want a Battlefield 3 remaster, change nothing and just port to next-gen consoles like it's nothing, those people live in some fantasy world and they just want to experience the same feeling we all got when we played the game back in 2011. And it's fine to imagine that, but here's a cold-hearted truth. You won't experience that ever again. And in all honesty, if you do want to experience that feeling again, no one is really stopping you from wiping the dust from your PS3 or Xbox 360, or your PC in that matter, log into Battlelog and play some Battlefield 3. Like I said before, this game was once in a decade moment that can't be replicated ever again, no matter how much you try. So why you want to tarnish your good memories with something that will be clearly inferior to everything you've been playing for the last 10 years? Over the last decade, so many games were developed and published, so many new innovations were introduced into our gaming world, and some of them became industry standard. Some of the features we got used to are not present in Battlefield 3. Sorry, got something stuck in my throat. I don't know what. Excuse me.
Don't be sad. This is just how it goes out.
Sure, you can try updating the game and add those features into the remaster, but remember when I said that Battlefield 3 was so much superior on consoles and not PC? Well, the reason for that is because Battlefield 3 was solely designed for consoles. PC version of Battlefield 3 is just a ported version of the console version, just scaled up with more players and better graphics. And now you're probably thinking, okay, so what? Why does it matter? When you look at Battlefield 4, Battlefield Hardline, Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, except Battlefield 2042 and Battlefield 3, what do they all have in common? They were all designed for the same player numbers on the server, regardless of the platform. And the reason why Battlefield 3 was such a success, it's because the big majority of the player base back then was on console, and the game was purely designed for console. And of course, just because you focus your development time towards your primary demographic, it doesn't really mean the game will be a success. But remember, all the pieces came together at the right time at the right place, and Battlefield 3 became once in a decade event that will be never forgotten. Battlefield 3 with 24 players was not only fantastic in its mechanics and map design, it was and is one of the best Battlefield experiences DICE could ever produce. And that's what happens when you have a focused game direction you want to explore, take the best parts about Battlefield that people love, and create something that is fun, engaging, and rewarding towards your player base. Please, I beg you, go watch my other video and then come back to this video, and you'll have so much context. So when people talk about remastering Battlefield 3 and release it with the standard modern features we can find in our modern games, you're not really achieving anything. You have to understand what made Battlefield 3 special in the first place, and releasing a game right now would be the same as smoking a cigarette after you tried your best not to do it for so many years, even when everything around you is going to shit. You would destroy all the progress you made, and that would be an absolute waste of your time. Even if Battlefield 3 would be remastered, and it would include 24-player servers as default, it would not achieve anything, mainly because the Battlefield community is so freaking diverse. Everyone would be arguing what makes Battlefield, well, Battlefield. Again.
You get different theaters of war, or not necessarily theaters, but like eras. So like,
I swear to God, Squirrel, that's
have an
exactly what I
expansion
said like 50 times before, like this, forever.
And I don't want to have those conversations again. And because of the current video game landscape is all about crossplay and everyone are playing together regardless of the platform, which is an amazing thing to have right now, we're gonna be having even more discussion what kind of identity Battlefield's supposed to have. At least with Battlefield 2042, everyone in the Battlefield community agree with each other for once in their lifetime, and everyone understand why people start playing Battlefield games in the first place. So it would be really lovely if we could use that agreeable weird energy that we have in the community right now, and let DICE, or someone else in that matter, create a Battlefield game that we all want. Battlefield 3 is a fantastic Battlefield game, a product of its age, and it did wonders towards the studio, developers, players, and the gaming industry. A legendary game that inspired everyone in some shape or form. I would not remaster Battlefield 3. I would not touch anything that I could reuse for my perfect Battlefield. But I will take it as an inspiration, not to replicate the good old times, but to create something new and exciting that respects its Battlefield roots. Something that nods towards Battlefield 3 and says, "Thank you for showing me everything. I will promise to do better, to honor your legacy." And that will be my perfect Battlefield. This was the Lanky Soldier. Leave a like, leave a comment, stay safe, and I will see you guys on the Battlefield.